Time for another fixing faulty eBay junk video, and if you're not familiar with the series, it's basically where I go on eBay and I try to find myself a faulty old console for a good deal and see if I can get it working again and get some use out of it. Not really done any of these in a while because it's getting quite tricky to find good deals on faulty systems, and I'm also kind of at the point where I have most of the consoles that I want, so yeah, it's kind of getting tricky to make videos out of this kind of format where I'm going on looking for a good deal. But I did manage to find this one here, and it's a Vectrex. If you don't know what the Vectrex is, then well, I'm kind of surprised that you don't, but it's a console. Well, it's kind of like an all-in-one console. It's got its own built-in screen. It was released around 1982, I think, so it's pretty old, over 30 years. And yeah, they're kind of legendary. And managed to find this one for a good deal. Well, it's faulty, but it sold for $26.99 and £4 postage. So I'm going to have a shot at trying to get this thing working again. I'll just move the camera here. The only thing, well, the only description of the fault here is that it's, what does it say? Good cosmetic condition, but does not power up. So I'm hoping it's going to be an easy fix, something to do with the power supply, maybe even just a blown fuse, but we'll see. There could be a whole number of different things wrong with it, but for the price I paid, I think that's a pretty good deal. It doesn't look like it comes with the controller, but from what I understand, I can use like a Mega Drive controller. I can kind of modify it slightly and use that, and it's already got a built-in game anyway, so I don't need to worry about tracking down a game to test it out with. But it's already arrived, so I'll get to unbox. Here it is. Here comes in this massive big box, so we'll just open this up and find out what kind of condition it's in. Hopefully it's not too damaged or anything, and it is in good cosmetic condition like the listing said. It looks like it's been well packaged anyway. Lots of bubble wrap, that's always a good sign. And there it is there, the Vectrex. So this is the first time I've ever seen one of these. I've never actually played one or tried one out. Jeez, it's pretty heavy. Let's put the box over here. And there we go. That is the Vectrex. Maybe I'll tilt this up and you can see. There it says Vectrex on it, and it looks to be in decent condition. It's got a bit of a scrape down the side here. Oh man, that is heavy. There we go, Vectrex. Got a brightness adjuster on the back, and I suppose it's almost like a carry handle there. So what I'll do is I'll plug this in, and you can see if we get any signs of life from it. Just for anyone that isn't aware or isn't familiar with this thing here, this is a UK standard plug, and you'll find this attached to pretty much all electronic devices here in the UK. You've got 3 prongs. You've got one at the top here for earth, and then you've got a live prong and a neutral as well. And these are all individually fused, so they've all got a fuse inside. And hopefully the only thing I'll need to do with this is change the fuse in this plug. That would be really good, but I doubt that's going to be the case. It's probably going to be something a bit more complicated than that. And just to quickly mention as well, you shouldn't really be able to see these live and neutral wires sticking out the end of the plug. This is in pretty poor shape, and I'll definitely be taking this apart to have a closer look. We'll plug it in and we'll see if we get any signs of life from the Vectrex itself. The power button is on this because I'm not familiar with the system. So I've got it all plugged in, and with the Vectrex I've just discovered that you have to turn this little knob here to switch it on. That also controls the volume. But as you can see, as you can probably hear as well, there's no signs of life to this. So what I'm going to do now is take that plug apart and see if this is the problem, and I'll test the fuse in it. And these are just held together by one screw in the middle here, so get that opened up, we can take a quick look. There we go. Oh, first thing I noticed, you can see there, what was that one? That's the neutral. I can't even remember. It's not even attached to the terminal in the plug, so that straight away is going to tell me there's a problem right there. But what I'll do quickly is I'll just test this fuse here. This thing is, you can just pop these out, and this is that kind of safety feature of the UK plugs. We've got a fuse built into the power socket right in the wall, so I'll test that there. The best way to test those is using a multimeter. You could just get a known good fuse and test it out in the plug, but this is a good way as well. You just want to have it on your continuity tester, so when these two touch, it makes a beeping noise. So all we need to do is get the fuse like so and put one connector at each end. And as you can hear the beeping, so we know the fuse is good. There's an electrical contact there. So what I'll do is I'll put that plug back together again and reconnect that terminal, and we'll see if we get any signs of life. I've now completely rewired the plug. I used my wire trimmers to cut the cables back, get everything reseated and the way it should be. I'm still going to replace this plug because it's really old, and you can see here there's bits chipped out of it. There's bits in here missing, but for the purposes of testing this should be safe enough, so I'll put the lid back on it and tighten it all up, and we can see if we get any signs of life. Just tighten that back up so that's all safe, and we'll plug it in there, test it out. And it's buzzing. It actually works. No way. So it turns out the only thing wrong with the Vectrex, well, that I've tested so far, was that plug. It's kind of difficult to see the screen with the glare, but it seems to be working. Try and adjust the brightness. There we go. So I've just shut the curtains over there, and the camera's having a real hard time focusing in on this, but as you can see it's working great. If I move it back a bit you can actually see it. I can adjust the brightness and that works fine, but it looks great. I mean, this is literally the first time I've ever seen a Vectrex in action, and it just looks so cool. It's, I don't know, the graphics on it are so crisp and sharp and clear. Yeah, there we go. So what I'll do now is I'll take this thing and get it a good clean, and then I'll maybe see about putting a Mega Drive controller into this and see if we can test it out and make sure that it does actually work. I mean, it fires up and everything, so that's a good start. And for, what was it, £27 and £5 postage, I really cannot complain at that at all. So I'm really happy about getting hold of this thing. It just looks so cool. Fast forward a couple of days and I've now had a chance to properly test and give the Vectrex a good clean, and overall I'm very, very happy with it. There was no major dings or scratches or cracks in the housing or anything like that, and it cleaned up very nicely. Other than the scratch I mentioned when I first took out the box there, which is just around the side, and you can't really see that. It's in excellent condition. The screen's in good condition, there's no scratches on that, and it all turned out very nicely. I got compressed air, cleaned it all, wiped it all down, and then used the old trick of getting a rag, like a microfiber rag, putting some WD-40 on it and then giving it a good wipe down. That's what I do with all my other consoles there, and it works really well to bring out the original shine in the plastic. So that's all been done. The other thing I did was replace that old plug. I just went into my parts bin and dug out this one here. It's not new, but it's in much better condition than the original one, a lot safer. And I'll plug that in and give you a quick demo in a minute. The other thing I did was I got my, this is like an extension cord for the Mega Drive Master System, and unfortunately a stock Mega Drive controller won't fit into the port here. There's kind of an obstruction with the plastic housing around here. So what you need to do is just cut away some of the, I'll show you this here, some of the controller, if that will focus, there we go. Just get a knife and cut away some of the plastic around the housing there, and then that will then fit in there, and you can go ahead and plug in a stock either Vectrex controller, Master System controller, or Mega Drive controller into this, and that allows you to play your games. The other thing, unfortunately, is that a stock Mega Drive controller doesn't work on the Vectrex. You need to modify it slightly. So what I'm going to do is again go into my parts bin and find an old controller, modify it so I can use it with the Vectrex. And then once I've done that, I should be able to play the majority of the games for the system. There are one or two that require the analog stick that you find in an original controller, but other than that, it should be fine. I do want to track down an original controller for this and just complete the console. The original controller sits in here when you're not using it, and yeah, I'd like to get one of those eventually, but they're quite expensive and not exactly the most common things to find, but in future I'll try and track one of those down. So in the meantime, what I've been doing is using my old Master System controller here. It doesn't give you the full functionality you'd find with the original controller, but it does enough to let me test out the built-in game. And I'll show you that in just a moment. I'll hook it all up, but overall, very happy with it. It works perfectly, and for what, £32 or whatever I paid, I think that's an excellent deal. I don't know if I can really call it a console fix, because the only thing that was wrong with it was the plug. So not really the console itself, just the plug socket, the plug that was faulty and worn out. But yep, very happy with it. So what I'll do now is I'll just plug it in and give you a quick demonstration. I've popped the camera onto the tripod and set it all up, and I'll give you a quick demonstration of the Vectrex in action. There we go. You can probably hear that buzzing in the background. That's kind of like a signature feature of the Vectrex. There are mods you can do to remove it, but I'm just going to leave it as it is because it's like part of the original system. That's what it would have sounded like when it came out the factory back in the day. And this is the built-in game. So I've only got limited functionality on this controller here. I can basically fire and move forward and warp. But it looks great. I'd really like to get a flash cart for the system so I can test out some other games. Okay, just kill myself. I'd like to get a flash cart and maybe a couple of original overlays so I'll get the full colour effect of the original games. Oh, I know one of these buttons makes it warp, I can't remember which one it is. It's diagonal bottom left or something ridiculous. So I will need to modify a Genesis controller in the meantime so I can play these games. Let's see if I can beat the first level here. There we go, first level completed, and the second level is pretty much the same. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.